Hello. This is the Then Enough podcast, best podcast in the world. Right now, we're doing our review for the show Arcane.
Woo! Woo! See that? Yeah. See. This is the second time we're doing this. Y'all thought, oh, because I did the first time, we do the second time. Of course, we do it the second time. You gotta give a shit. No, I love the show. Please continue.
I wondered if we were gonna do it a second time. Today we're just gonna go give our thoughts on it. Obviously, the first take we tried to do with this, Otis asked us out the gate what our ratings was for it. I rated it a 10 out of 10. Otis, what was yours?
10 out of 10.
And then we already know what it is from Mr. Ethan.
12 and a half.
12 and a half. Yeah, I forgot about that. So just to give a general synopsis before we get into our each individual points we're going to get into we're going to give a general synopsis for each of us and what we enjoyed. For me, there were three things I really loved about this. You guys know, first and foremost, music in any kind of movie, show, cartoon. Music for me is a big trend, like mood setter, atmosphere setter. It was amazing. Had one of my favorite rappers, JID, the East Atlanta Playboy, on the opening for it, even though it got cut out.
He wasn't on the opening.
It hurt.
Yeah, he's not in the opening.
He's on the song though, so that's automatic. He's credited for it.
The music video has him. The music video has him all up in there.
Yeah.
He's dancing and stuff, but yeah.
Right. He's in the opening credits too, but to say the least, the characters are really well written. They're all interesting. They all have great development. They interact with each other very well. It's dope. And then lastly, like not just the atmosphere, but the setting of the world they were put you in. The world building was really dope. I really felt like that city became alive. What was the name of the city? I can't remember the name of the city they were in.
Oh, Peltover and Zahn. There's two cities.
Peltover was. It felt great. Like they world built the fuck out of that world. I loved it to an enormous extent. Getting into Otis, what do you think about it? What was your general synopsis about it?
I'm gonna go last. Like, I got a lot of hot takes to say, so go ahead, E.
We got hot takes. Oh god,
I got some hot takes.
I mean, he's Otis East. He's Otis. I mean, his Christian name on his birth certificate it says Otis Hot Takes East. Hot
takes.
I'll keep my takes nice and cool as ice. Otis. I'm sorry, Dev. You said everything great. I agree with everything you just said. What I want to iterate real quick is that I think this is the single best piece of entertainment since, like Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. And it's beautifully ironic because it is animated. It's animated they use some of the similar techniques. They use very different ones as well. But it has a lot of the same ethos with the character building and everything else as well. It has Haley Stanfield in there, which is amazing. Another thing I like about this too is how this show is, you got to understand, it is based off of a video game and the characters are all from a video game. This is also a prequel. Those two things right there oftentimes are kisses of death, prequels and video game adaptations. And somehow this came out overwhelmingly on top, and it has primarily female leads. And we'll get into it more. They're female leads of, you can easily say, they make an argument that their sexual preference is unconventional. So all these things, and it's still a phenomenal show that is, everyone's just going crazy for. So it's just like anytime someone tries to say to you, "Oh, we can't do this," or "That won't work," grab them by the throat and say, "Here's Arcane. You can do it if you know what you're doing."
Exactly. Otis, before you go, real quick,
ain't nobody coming to see you, Otis.
Just to make sure you remember, but continue. Go ahead.
That was a weak moment for it. Like, you gotta set that up better. Like make it.
No, ain't no setups. Ain't no setups. Ain't no setups.
If you're going to put a GIF, like make it a good use of the GIF. Like don't just nobody can. That was whack as fuck. Like put that in this time where I say something out of line and then put that. Like, come on, bro, do better. Be
right
better.
Before
he
talks,
strive forward. Strive forward.
Right.
Ain't nobody coming to see you, Otis.
See, that would make sense. That
would make sense. He's learning. He's learning.
But I want to just go out and say, like, I don't want to hear anyone ever say that men don't like content that were made with female protagonists and it's just people being against. No. Yep. You people don't like your shit because it sucks. People didn't like Ghostbusters with what's her name that makes all the horrible movies.
Melissa McCarthy.
Yeah. We didn't like because it was trash. It's not because it was a woman. We didn't dislike Wonder Woman because it was a woman. No, we disliked it because it was fucking trash.
We liked Wonder Woman with the first one.
Let's be clear. The first one.
Wonder Woman 84. Wonder Woman 84.
Yeah.
Wonder Woman 84. It was trash. It was trash. That's why we didn't like it. It had nothing to do with the gender or the sexual orientation of the characters. It is
Mhm.
the fact that you are making bad content.
Right.
Period.
Right.
This series is driven almost completely by the female characters,
Mhm.
and it is excellent. Not good. It is excellent. Vi is a phenomenal character. Jinx is a phenomenal character. Mel is a great character.
Caitlyn. Caitlyn's great.
Vikander is a great character. Like, it's the women kill this. They murder this. So again, never again can you say that men don't like female leads. No. Every dude that's done a review on this on YouTube says this is great.
Yeah.
So please kill that argument. I never want to hear it again.
I don't either.
Right.
Also, if you do have that argument, that's on you. That's
Yeah.
just toxic masculine dumbass nonsense. You do not qualify to have an opinion, in my opinion.
This is
Agreed.
yeah. Right.
Agreed.
Getting into go ahead, my bad. Finish your point.
I was just gonna say that, like, I don't know. It's just so again the stigma that you cannot make good content from video games. This is the best content from a video game, period, to me.
Period.
And y'all know how I feel about Castlevania. Y'all know how I love that show.
Yeah.
You saying investment in Castlevania?
Yes, this is better than Castlevania.
I know. I heard it. Here's the thing. When he said that, when he said it, Dev, my mic, I was like, I was like, maybe I didn't hear it. I'm probably tripping.
This is better than Castlevania, just because the build up for all of the characters is better executed, which is saying a lot because the execution in Castlevania was astonishing. But
over 4 seasons as well. This was 9 episodes.
All right, over 4 seasons, right? But you can tell that Netflix is learning from the shows that they make. Each time it's like, okay, this was good, we gotta tweak it. This is good, we gotta tweak it. And then you finally get to Arcane, which is amazing. And I think the answer between the stark difference between this and that Mortal Kombat movie we got, this just shows the show. Like, if you want to make good content from a video game, make it a series. Don't put it in a movie. We don't need a movie. We got enough of those. Marvel's doing that. Let them handle that. Make a series.
Right. Quick point I'll make. I will say, to agree with you and kind of bounce off your point, every character that was introduced in this show felt significant in some form or fashion. Like, no character felt like a throwaway character. Anybody they introduced had not a major plot point or goal, but they had something significant that could affect the story in a big way, just by the presence and the way they operated. Transitioning from that, we're going to get into what our favorite characters were. Obviously, Otis, you named off a lot of a lot of characters. Ethan, we'll start with you. Who's your favorite character of the show, or favorite characters?
Right on. And I just want to piggyback up what you said, Deb. I completely agree that it's what they call essentially economy of storytelling. All the characters were used to the fullest extent. They didn't introduce somebody just to have them stand around and do nothing. If they're going to be on screen or involved, they gave them a function, gave them a purpose, and gave them a personality and a kind of a they made them feel real very, very quickly. For example, Caitlyn's mom was only on screen for maybe 2 minutes max, but you knew exactly who she was. Her dad was on even less time. You could tell he was a doctor, and he's also the one that loved her more, or was more affectionate towards his daughter than her mom was. So that's what I mean, as far as you can tell very quickly what's going on with the characters. Now, as far as my favorite character, this one, is a little hard, but I'm gonna have to go. I'm gonna have to go Vi. I mean, obviously, but the thing is, you have to understand. You have to understand. I'm sorry, Otis, I know you love her too, but Vi and Korra are 2 of my favorite characters of all time. Legend of Korra is my favorite show in existence, and this might eclipse it in time simply because it's still only the first season. I need to make sure what kind of longevity it has, but there are so many amazing similarities between Vi and Korra that I can't get over them. And I like how, because these 9 seasons are 3 acts, it kind of shows Vi's life at different points as she's growing and maturing, and the hardships she goes through. So she feels so real that it just bowls me over. And it's Haley Stanfield, who was also in Spider-Verse, who's also in Hawkeye. Y'all haven't seen Hawkeye episode 3 yet, but my God alive, Jesus Christ, this girl. So yeah, I gotta go Vi.
What about you, Mr. Otis?
I don't have one favorite character. It's a 1A and 1B because the development of one is the development of the other, and that's Vi and Jinx. Like literally every action that one does affects the other almost immediately and directly. And
Right.
I think that's some of the best writing period that you can do. Like when you're a main essentially protagonist, because like a lot of this is centered around Violet. Like she's the main character. And your main antagonists are so deeply intertwined with each other. I just think that makes for great content. Like when you can have them be so close to each other and have it make sense why they become against each other in the end. Like I love that. So 1A, 1B, Vi and Jinx.
Right.
Valid.
Before I get into mine, I will say I didn't notice it before, but yeah, after you bring up the similarities between Violet and Korra, they're damn near almost like not the same character, but in like personality wise and the way they go about things is not even just the mean gay part. That's just coincidental, but the way they go about stuff, even in their fighting styles, they're like very similar in the way they go about it. I was like, I did notice
very
that.
Aggressive.
Very
hyper aggressive.
Really great point out. But as far as me, my favorite character I'm gonna have to go with is probably Jinx. I love seeing the spiral, the mental. I mean, I don't love seeing it in regular people, but in characters, I love seeing the mental health spiral and the sanity kind of go down the drain with some characters. Like I love to see how crazy and insane characters get to that point from sanity. Like you saw Violet and how she went from like it's wild if you would like to see her in the beginning of the show when she's first introduced and then see her in the last episode. That you can see the extreme character development of like her being almost a different person.
Yes.
And the whole time her fighting with herself, becoming Jinx from Powder. Like, and then on top of that, the mental health break, like the psychosis she had, it was reasonable. Like it was just extreme abandonment issues and distrust throughout her entire life up to that point. And it made sense. It wasn't like over the top. I mean, the show's over the top as it's like an animated fight show, but in that aspect, it wasn't over the top. It was reasonable. It made sense to me. I love her as a character, and she kept me guessing. Like I never knew what she was going to do next. So anytime she was on screen, I loved it because I'm like, what crazy shit is she about to do now?
Absolutely.
And I was just holding my breath. Yeah, man, I love Jinx. I love Jinx passion.
So there's something I want to say. I don't know if this is the right time. If need, I can edit this part out. But did y'all also catch the idea that essentially this is sorry, Charlie, here's my hot take. I'm sorry. It's essentially a better told version of Obi-Wan and Anakin with Violet and Jinx, or Violet and Powder. Back into episode 3, when she grabs her by the face, he even has a fire burning behind them. And she says, because you're a Jinx, this is all your mistake, essentially, what have you, right? It's the same idea as Anakin when he basically effed up and Obi-Wan and him parted ways. In this scenario, though, when Jinx Powder wanted the affection and wanted to be with Violet, she wasn't there, and she broke bad, went dark. Anakin kind of chose to go dark on his own, essentially. And Obi-Wan does feel the guilt, but he also chose to abandon him. It's kind of it's a inverse relationship of what happens when when that dynamic plays out. And it's just kind of it. I did research. I know that Alex Yee, the writer, was aware of that too. He actually was influenced by Star Wars and everything too. So it's not coincidental, but I feel like it's a better executed version of that idea in a sense.
Right. I agree. The only difference I'll point out is just the I felt like with Star Wars with Obi-Wan and Anakin, Obi-Wan never really lost faith in Anakin. It was like more so him like holding on to that faith that Anakin would be good until he wasn't. With like Violet kind of like had that moment of like anger, which he was just like, don't be around because you're gonna fuck this up. I need you to be safe and be away from this. And she kind of lost faith in her for that.
Yes. I agree. Yeah, they're not exactly. I agree. Yeah, it's different because it's kind of like Obi-Wan did choose to walk away from Anakin. He gave up on him.
Right.
Violet, it was 1 second where she needed a moment because literally she just lost her father and basically her surrogate brothers, and she's like, I need a moment to try and get everything together. Let me step away from you for a second. Right. And in that second, everything went to hell. She lost it. So it's like
you're the reason that they're dead too. Like
you're the reason that they're dead. It's a lot to take in. And then immediately second, and then she spends the rest of her life trying to get her back. So it's she never gave up on her. It was just that she needed a second away from her. It's still different from Obi-Wan and Anakin, but the similarities are still there.
Yeah, it was a moment of hurt. Like, and that happens with real people. Like it's viable. It is an actual true motivation that is understandable and makes sense and translate well onto the animation. Like,
yes, and that's the thing. I mean, we're talking about. I know I'm sorry, I keep on ranting, but it's like we're praising the animation because the animation is great. We're going to get into all the amazing action, everything else, but the music fantastic. But what this comes down to is the writing and the characters. That's what we're here praising, is because all this revolves around the characters and the writing. That's what's so amazing about it. Everything else is just set dressing.
yeah, honestly, because like we've had so many episodes back when we were doing loose cannons about this, about the motivations and characters. Like, is it authentic? Is it real? Does it make sense? They made sure that every character, they had the personality, and they put them in events where their personality can shine, and you can really see them do the things that you would essentially expect them to do. It's like, oh yeah, that makes sense that you did that. I get why you did that, considering this, and this happened. Yes. You have no other choice but to do that if you're you. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
Like, yeah.
Yes, I completely agree. And it's it's perfect execution of show don't tell. It's also revealing character through action, like you're saying, Otis. These are all like fundamentals of writing. What's funny about it is like we're blown away by this, but these are fundamentals. It's just we've gotten so used to of shows and movies not doing it right that it's a breath of fresh air when someone does.
Right. To keep things moving along, get into our second point of discussion on your favorite moment of the show. What maybe it's a fight scene, or let's fights. We'll keep fights out of it.
No, fights next.
Yeah. Next.
But what's your favorite moment? Maybe it's a moment of dialogue, or et cetera, et cetera. What was it for you guys?
Tea party.
You know what? That scene, you know what I immediately thought about when I saw that was the scene at the end of Texas Chainsaw. No. That's probably this is probably coming from that too. The ending of the first Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
That's what I thought about. That's what I thought. I thought Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Yeah. You've seen that copy so many times, and I saw that, I was like, oh, they're doing that. I'm like, okay, that's dope. That's it. Yeah. But yeah, continue. My bad. Go ahead. Can you elaborate a little bit further on what you liked about it, Otis?
It was so well done because it was a collision of so many storylines going. Like, you got Silco, after hearing that, like, oh, you gotta turn in Jinx, like, if you want this deal to go through, you gotta hear Jinx. Jinx captures him. He's at the tea party. Vi had gone through so many beatings to get to that point. Yeah, I'm gonna snatch you up here at this tea party. Caitlyn thought she was good. It's just like, yeah, I'm back home. You know what I'm saying? I'm washing up, like it's whatever. She's at this tea party. Like, it was the ultimate payoff without having it be a fight scene. And I respect that. Like, when your climax is so dramatic and that you don't even need to have a fight scene for it to feel epic. I don't know. That's just again good writing to me.
It's good writing. Yeah, right. And I don't mean to cut you off, Brody, but it's just like you're 100% right, and the suspense is all there. It's fantastically dramatic, but also the ultimate payoff for that is all these things do still coincide with what's happening on top side as well.
Yes, exactly. Because she shoots the rocket, and it's
right. I mean, again, the writing team is like Alex Yee and the creator who worked with Rocket Riot Games. They just knew what they were doing top to bottom. There was never, you cannot convince me that they didn't know what they were doing. They were crafting all around.
Like the storytelling in this show is it's kind of reminiscent to like that Game of Thrones style, where you got these things happening there, these things happening there, these things happening there, and they found a way to make a moment that converges all of those things
into one,
and it was just beautifully done.
It was beautiful.
It was done. The dialogue was so well done. Like, usually I'm kind of annoyed by the politics of a world, because I usually feel like it's kind of not interesting. But in the way they went about this, and the politics of like working with the people of like the Undercity and things like that, with the council, and even within the council itself, I'm like, this was interesting to watch. Yes. Like, it was like you like reminiscent of Game of Thrones and how the dialogue was engaging and not just like a throwaway thing you can forget about. What was your favorite moment, Mr. Ethan?
So I have a 1A and 1B. If Otis can do it, I'm not as pretty as Otis, but I can try to be. So I'll do it as well. My 1A, what I will say is Vi. Now, what I mean by that is her introduction in episode 4 at the beginning of, or at the end, the very end of act. I'm sorry, very beginning.
Of Act
It's the
2.
last episode.
Mhm.
It's the first episode of Act 2, the end of episode 4. There. There's a part where Kaylin goes down there because it's essentially reminiscent of one of Otis's favorite movies, Silence of the Lambs, where she's going into the deep red doldrums of this prison to find this prisoner, essentially to have as a consult. And it's as opposed to Hannibal Lecter, it's Violet, but the way they build her up more and more, and we know it's going to be her. We know it has to be her, and they slowly reveal her this massive hulking brute boxing against a wall. We haven't seen Violet what's probably 7 or 6 years.
Yeah.
We have to do a whole episode without her. It's like, and then she goes, she's killing gets right in front of her. It's like, who is this? What's on here? And all she does is turn over her shoulder and says, "Who the hell are you?" It's like fantastic. Like that's Vi. That's all you need right there. I was like, I applauded in my room by myself, 1 a.m. So I had to bring that up. And then one very different moment, but it's the moment where Victor, I can't remember the episode specifically, but Victor, who we've seen struggle so much his entire life with his handicap, takes his first actual step with his purple foot, and he starts running, and he's able to actually sprint for the first time ever in his life. And while he's running, he's sweating and crying tears of joy. That hits me on a very personal level. You all know I have a disability, so I can feel for him entirely. So that one hit me. I know these aren't necessarily the biggest moments in the series. There are a lot of great moments, but those ones really hit me really, really hard.
Right.
If we all had the same moment, I mean, this segment would be really short.
Right, fair.
Right.
Fair,
yeah. See, I thought I was going to be the only one to pick a Victor moment for my favorite moment. My moment was right after the death of his, what was the lady lab assistant?
Sky.
After she died, that sadness he felt in the realization that like he couldn't have everything he wanted. He had to let this go for the greater good. Like he was gonna have to give away his life at that point. He was dying. Like he knew he was gonna die, and he knew this thing could save him. But he knew for the benefit of like mankind, he had to sacrifice this and him walking right. Like he realized that he hurt somebody. So he had a million emotions going on with the grief and the resentment and the regret. All you could see it all on his face in tears. And like and him reading the notes of Sky going through it, because I guess she developed something kind of to assist and to follow his footsteps for stuff. It was great. That moment, it was really an emotional moment for me.
But here's the problem. It's actually better than you might think. I'm not sure if you guys have caught this, but you remember the part where it shows a flashback showing Victor when he's a kid playing with a little tugboat. You know, the girl that was there, that was Sky.
Yeah,
I figured that was her.
Because I missed it the first time I watched. I watched it like 3 times, but the first time I missed that. But then you hear someone else say, "Hey, Sky," in the background. Again, it's such crafty exposition. You don't even know you're hearing exposition, establishing things.
Mm-hmm.
So she's been into him since she was a kid, basically.
You know, what made that moment hit so much for me too is just like, you know, like the fact that throughout the few scenes that she had, because she wasn't on the screen a lot, but when she was, like, you saw the love that she had for Victor. Like it was completely visible. You knew it was there. So for her to be killed by something that he did, essentially, it had to tear him apart.
And not even that. He was literally holding on to him, dying in his arms, and he saw it. And he wasn't like he was. In Victor's defense, it wasn't like he didn't like her, or he didn't notice. He had no idea what was going on. He had no idea she was into him. He had no
Most
idea
men are oblivious. We're oblivious.
Yeah, we're oblivious. We're oblivious. And I think that's the thing. That's the realization that Victor had when he was crying his eyes out. I was like, oh my gosh, now I understand. I've known her my whole life. She's had this. It all hit him at once. And I love the idea too with Victor, because Victor's a great character. He's a phenomenal character. He's not a cliche kind of villain-esque in the making, kind of a person where he starts going down this dark path and he can't come back. He realizes he's going down a dark path in some sense, and he's like, I can't keep going. I have to stop this. And he tries to destroy it, and he can't. Then he goes to basically commit suicide, and he's like, I don't know if I can do that. And luckily enough, his boy stops him, but it's like, you have to promise me you'll destroy that thing. I realize it is, in fact, dark. Going back again to what Dev said earlier, where no character has no purpose. The hamster man, I can't. Heimerdinger, is that his name?
Heimerdinger.
I like him as a character too. He's
fantastic. He's fantastic. But he said, you need to destroy. He told Victor especially, you need to destroy that. And what happens? So it's nothing is incidental or random in this show. It's to craft such a intricate tapestry is just fantastic.
Right.
Sorry,
Getting transitioning into like obviously at that big fight with his emotions and his decisions. We're gonna transition into what our favorite fight of the show was. I'm gonna just take this one first off and kick it off. My favorite one was the scene that again, you guys know I'm bad with names. When Violet and the scientist, the main scientist that developed Jace, that
was fire.
that
That
assault
was
they had
fire.
going to destroy the shimmer
Yes,
was
sir.
dope. Like
Yes, sir.
that hammer he had, I thought it was just a regular hammer, but he turned into a gun and was like using it in versatile ways and stuff. I'm like, that's sick. So like the weapons also have like depth to them. The fist gauntlets, like Violet, even though they're just fists and you punch stuff with them, she just like punched stuff and used them in a way that was cool to me. I don't even know how to explain it. She do like subtle things and move in subtle ways, and the way the animation, this animation style, I didn't know how I feel about it. Get into it when I initially started it, but the fight scenes, oh man, it was so sick. The animation was fire in this. Yeah, that was it for me. It was. Mwah.
So real quick things. I'll let you go next. But two quick things. If y'all remember in the live show a few days ago, I brought this up. I brought this moment up, and I said we can't. I said at the end, it's an episode Oil and Water. At the end of that episode, there's an amazing fight scene, and I didn't go into detail because Charlie hadn't seen it. So I love that Charlie now is going full circle with Charlie. That's the one he brings up as his fight scene. Also with the gauntlets that Vi has, I love the idea that they are an evolution of what her dad wielded essentially, and she calls it out too. So.
What about you? You go to such your moment or your favorite fight?
I want to go last.
You gonna go last? Okay, right on. So I will. I mean, I'll be honest though. My favorite fight scene is actually I guess it's the first fight between Vi and Sabika, because it kind of catches you a little off guard where basically it breaks in the middle of a music video to where Sabika's just chopping on her cigar, and out of nowhere, I think she actually wins a poker or whatnot, and then a knee comes right across her face. And
can we talk about that?
This is
Violet just be sucker punching people out of nowhere, like she
has no
Deboing people right now through a whole series.
Site, she is the definition of on site. You might not see me here, but I saw you.
There's got to be at least 5 memes that say she's on site. I've seen memes of Sabika being a punching bag, but I haven't seen memes of
I need a Friday meme of her or Violet being Debo and her being Dude. That's my grandmama chain. Now that's my chain.
He runs up with his hands and stuff. Yeah. And actually she does. Sabika does run up with the arms at his side like red. But I love how it's because essentially this is her like you. This is the first time I've seen you in 7 years. It's because of you. You contributed to my dad's death. I'm gonna F you up myself, hand to hand. And then you see Sabika like, yeah, I remember you too. I lost my arm fighting you. It's a grudge match that was like 7 years in the making. They didn't even know they had that was coming essentially. And it makes so much sense. And I love when Vi sees that she has a super arm on her. It's like, oh my God, but she doesn't back off. If you or I, even Charlie, if we saw a super arm maniac in front of us, we'd at least take a step back or whatnot. Vi actually literally guards up and steps in like a boxer. She steps in like a boxer. She has no fear. I mean, to her detriment.
Give her the Black Air Forces. Give Vi the Black Air Forces.
Yes. So I was like, this is fantastic, and I love that. Here's the thing: she still beats her. She's a probably she does the Ip Man rabbit punches, and then she does a full flying drop kick. And she still beats her. Sabika has height, has mass, has a metal arm, and Vi still beats her. And Vi was locked up in a box for 7 years, and she still beats her. So.
Yeah, man, that was crazy. What about last but not least, Mr. Lelouch? What's up?
This is a hot take. I think that Echo versus Jinx fight is one of the best fights animated. Period. Between the music, the build up, the flashback midway into it, it was perfect. Yes. It was. Yeah, magnificent, man.
Yes. How is that a hot take? That's the coldest take. That's ice cold take. Yeah.
I mean, I'm putting it over. Like, I damn near I can't put that over Obito versus Kakashi, but it's up there. It is up.
Yeah, I put it. It's on the same level, on the same tier as Obito versus Kakashi. Yeah, I agree.
I'm putting it over the Isaac versus not Victoria. What's her name? Oh my God, I can't remember her name from Castlevania. Isaac one, where he pulled up on her in the room.
Over. over.
Bro, I don't know, bro.
It's even with me. It's that level. It is that level. It is that level to me. Absolutely.
Yeah, it's in that same tier. We have to do we have to do a whole episode breaking down all some fight scenes, essentially comparing them. But these are all in the same tier. All in the same tier. I agree. I agree. Yeah, I agree entirely. Yeah, that was the one I couldn't get over. Like, because I heard what they were trying to do with each 9 episodes was try to essentially have some of a music video per episode on some level. And that was the music video they chose to make, which was Echo versus Jinx. And it was so beautiful. And I heard in the lore that it's established basically that Echo has had a childhood crush on Jinx, which is why at the end he's not able to pull the trigger essentially. But it's just fantastic. It's just fantastic. And I love the episode's called the boy savior too. So it's just so many things. Again, that batter is so rich.
Like, the way that they pick the names for the episode is perfect.
Yeah.
It is the perfect 1, 2, 3 word synopsis of that episode.
Yeah.
Like, this is a masterfully done series. This is a masterfully done series.
That's the underrated factor for me when it comes to shows. Is like the names of the episodes. Like, it lets you know what to think and what to look for when you start an episode.
I agree. Look, we are already all in agreement that this is just
10 out of 10. We had to say that first. This is a 10 out of 10. This is 10 out of 10.
Yeah, say it. We have to say it. Yeah, absolutely.
Put that in the thumbnail, Charlie.
Absolutely. And we got to give a quick shout out, runner-up prize to our boy Vander, who was able to pull out the gauntlets for 7 years later, whenever. However much time passes at the end of episode 3 to go toe to toe against a souped up, roided out monster with his makeshift gauntlets there. It was cool to see Vander throw down again.
Yeah, he was giving out hands.
We didn't talk a whole lot about the first 3 episodes of this, but man, those are all so great. Like, this is just great. I'm sorry, I'm getting into a tangent, but
right before we make this video 5 hours long, let's get into the last portion of it. What do you guys expect to see for the second season? And we'll make you start this time, Otis. You've been last at the last 2 segments.
I can't wait to see what happens with Echo and Hermandinger. I want to see, because I feel like they're going to be essentially like a third faction. You got the people up top in I can't remember the name of the city.
Peltover,
and then you have Peltover and what's the city below Vaz?
They call it Zahn.
Zahn. I'm sorry, I said Vaz. Zahn. They're obviously going to war next season. Clearly, war. Clearly, that's war. But I want to see what Hermandinger and Echo kind of whoop up behind the scenes. I think I can't remember his character, but the guy that was teaching Victor when he was younger, I know he's got something big.
Yeah, I forgot his name. He's in the games too, so that character's in the game as well as Victor.
He's got something big cooking. So
yeah.
So I feel like he's gonna be like the White Walker, like the equivalent for Game of Thrones, where you got the two sides. Oh yeah, we got to kill each other. It's like, oh no,
over here,
there's a third side.
Y'all don't forgot. Option C. Yeah. There is one thing I noticed that doesn't know too much about the lore or anything else, but there is one shot that I caught later on. I saw that when I did some research on the notes. You see a body hanging in that scientist's lab, which looks very, very similar to Vander. They won't confirm online from the official site or whatnot it is Vander, but it definitely could be. And the theory is that scientist is going to do experiments to make Vander a character in the game, essentially. So,
I saw that in reviews. Like they said, the claws,
yeah. But they're
some Wolverine type shit.
Kind of more wolf than Wolverine.
Yeah.
What are you expecting from the second season, Ethan?
I mean, I'll be honest, man. What I want, I'm just gonna say it. I'm sorry. I do want Vi and Caitlyn to get together, man. I mean, I ship them. Everyone ships them. I mean, there was some of the cutest shit I've seen. Man. I mean, it's obvious ship, yes, but we don't actually see it, and it was one of the cutest things in the world because there's again the writing at the beginning. Which you see the first impression they have is she's punching a wall and she turns over kind of cold shoulder, literally gives the cold shoulder essentially. Then later on when she's wounded and they're down in her childhood home, which is dilapidated as hell, Caitlyn tries to reach out and help Vi. and Vi kind of backhands, kind of blocks the advance from her hand. Then later on, when they're in again perfect symmetry, when they're in Caitlyn's beautiful big ass home on Caitlyn's bed, Caitlyn is able to stroke her face, and she allows it and touches her hand. So it's kind of to show the evolution of how she's let her in. So it's like I need them to be official. I love Korra, I love it to pieces, but Korra and Asami wasn't nearly as well done.
She came out of nowhere.
Kind of came out of nowhere.
It came out of nowhere.
Kind of came out of nowhere.
Oh, okay.
And that was over 4 seasons. In just these 9 episodes, I believe Caitlyn and Vi more. So,
to finish off for me, the romance stuff is cool. I certain shows I'm invested in the romances. I'm not really necessarily invested in them too much with this one. I really want to see what happens with the power gap now in Zon that Silco's dead. I'm trying to, like, obviously Jinx being my favorite character, I want to see where she goes. I don't know if she's going to transition into filling that power gap that Silco left behind, just by leading the underground, which I necessarily don't really want, because I feel like she should be more like random and sporadic in how she goes about things and not really organized.
yes.
If anything else, maybe her like doing it from behind the scenes, having somebody as a figurehead, possibly. Man, I want to see where with that power gap happens, because if they're going to go to war, somebody has to organize the troops for the war. You can't be random. And I also want to see who survives with that rocket being shot into the room.
Right. So 2 things.
It's only going to be Jason Mel that survived. That's my guess. Jason.
So yeah, I think I was going to say that. It seemed like, I don't know enough about the game to really get into it. From what I've seen, there's a character that looks like Mal in it, but in the game. But it seems like from the shot, like Mal's back is like glows a little bit, like almost like she does have some type of power. Yeah, there's something that she has been able to do to shield herself, maybe shield Chase. So and also I love that. I actually do believe, and I like the dynamic between Chase and Mal, because it seemed like Mal, this show does subversions well. You believe Mal is going to be the kind of the woman whispering in the darkness in his ear, but no, she actually is a supportive person that actually does help him grow, and they actually have a real good relationship. And I love the intro of her mom too. So I believe that'll come to play a factor, is the war that her mom is bringing to their coast, essentially. So it'll be a lot of fun with that. There's just, again, there's so many things. They teed up so many things so well, so organically, but they didn't try to. The ending was satisfying without being forced. They didn't have to try to say we got to wrap all this stuff up now, or tie all these loose ends, or kind of leave things hanging. It's like they did it just beautifully. So I'm excited to see how they play it out next season.
All right, that was the literal perfect cliffhanger. It left you wanting more, gave you enough to think about before the next season comes out. They speculate. It's dope. I love it. Are there any closing remarks you guys have for the show in general before we head out?
I'm so proud that Jinx didn't end up just becoming your basic Harley Quinn clone.
Thank you.
Thank you. Her own
they were throwing that around before the show was out, or they're based off the game or whatnot. I was like, okay, and it's false. It's insulting.
I love her to death. I love crazy characters that do crazy things with not really with a purpose, because I don't really need you to be doing anything like organized because you're crazy, but it makes sense. Like you're not just being crazy for the sake of being crazy, but you have a reason and trauma for
motivations.
For reasons. Yeah,
that's what I've been saying. The same word, the M word. The M word's a big word.
Right.
Yeah. And I love it. What I will say, because y'all know I'm a writer, obviously. I just love that quality writing still matters. People are praising this show to pieces because of the writing. Yes, that we love the artwork, and we love the fight scenes, the music, all this stuff is great. But I just love the fact that the writing is what we're all championing, and I love the idea that mental illness is brought up in this show and it's treated properly. That a potentially gay couple is brought up and it's treated properly. Abandonment issues brought up. It's all these things. Like I said, politics. They're all treated properly. So it's great. The one last thing I'm gonna say as a closing remark, though, is a fun little note. You guys will get this in episode 3. There's a part where Haley Stanfield is talking to someone about Imagine Dragons. And she's talking about it kind of negatively, but it's just funny because she was literally in a show that's on air right now where the show opens to a song by Imagine Dragons. So it's kind of a weird meta thing that I appreciated.
Right.
Yeah. And right now, man, she's looking like she approaching GOAT status. Haley
Bro,
Steinfeld.
she
Like,
hitting on
she's
all
pretty much-
cylinders right now.
Yeah, she's in GOAT stride. Yeah, she's in GOAT
Her
stride.
and Jonathan Majors on their shit right now. They in
Yeah,
everything.
Yeah,
facts.
they're both
everything.
in GOAT
I just
stride.
need Jonathan Majors to look like he knows how to can shoot a gun next time he decides to be in a movie where he has to shoot guns.
I mean,
Just learn how to do it. Just learn
It's
how to
over-
do it.
It takes a hot.
it's
It takes a
over the top
hot. It takes a hot.
Nah, it has nothing to do with. Learn how to shoot a fucking gun because that shit looks stupid. Fix it. You got to do it.
All right, that coming
That's
from
all. That's all. Tell me. Yeah,
that coming from the Chicago guy. He's out the womb with the AK. That man's out here.
There's this body language to shooting the gun, and he didn't have none of it. Like he looked like he's never even held one before. It's like, bro,
We went way too long with Otis being positive. That was what happened. That's what
I was
happened.
waiting on it. I was waiting on something.
We knew it had. We knew it had to. But I don't mind. That's fine. You can talk about the harder they fall. I'm just glad my boy actually.
We gotta do that
Arcane.
review. We haven't done that yet.
We will do a review of that. That's coming too. But I'm just glad Otis liked Arcane. I'm glad both of y'all liked it. I'm glad both of y'all loved it. I did too. I'm so glad because I think at the beginning Otis watched it first, then I watched it next, but I didn't know how Otis felt about it.
Mhm.
And then we got Charlie to watch it. So
Yeah. Well, guys, that's it. It's our review on it. I think a consensus, or if we all had a general statement, our consensus would be,
I love it.
And
that's how you use the GIFs. He figured out how to use the GIFs.
There you go.
I've been using them like that before. They be hating on me. Go back and watch the old episodes. Y'all see it. Yeah, that has been another episode of the Then and Out podcast, and we'll see you guys next time.
Charlie being Charlie.
Spoiler alert. Not a 10 out of 10 for Hard Day Fall.